What's up guys? I wasn't planning on playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, but I have to admit, it was an impulse buy after I watched Dragon Ball Super Broly, and I have to say the new Broly movie is definitely worth checking out, much better than About the Gods, Resurrection F, or the entire Super series. So, 45 hours later, and completing all the achievements, I'll give you my review on what I liked and what I didn't like so much. First off, I have to say that I haven't played any other Dragon Ball game since the NES days, so this review is not going to include comparisons to past Dragon Ball games. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is definitely for fans of DBZ that fondly remember some of these epic fights, which the trailers of the game highlight well. The uninitiated won't have the same experience as trying to cram in almost 300 episodes worth of the anime into a single game doesn't allow for enough time for character development, and many scenes had to be left on the chopping block. The game is overloaded with fan service and collectibles. Even after my playtime and unlocking all the achievements, there is still more to collect and characters to level up. After hitting the 50-hour mark, I don't see much replayability, but the length of the game is solid and nothing to complain about. The main story is broken down into 4 arcs. The Saiyan Saga ending with the battle against Vegeta, the Frieza Saga, the Android Saga building up to Cell, and finishing with the Buu Saga. In between sagas, there are small intermissions where you are free to complete side quests and dabble in the many things that the game has to offer. This includes collecting Dragon Balls, fighting villainous enemies, fishing, cooking, gathering collectibles, and other minigames. While some of these don't unlock until further into the story, there's always a good amount of side quests to do compared to the main story. The game delivers on what you'd expect. The graphics look great and intense moments from the anime are recreated beautifully. The voice acting is top-notch, with all the main characters using the original voice actors, at least from what I could tell.
I put enough poison in that chocolate to kill an elephant.
Chocolate tasty!
Huh?
It's better than people chocolate!
The game matches the tone of the anime really well, with a lot of lighthearted and funny dialogue. You get to control and play as 5 main characters during the course of the game: Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and future Trunks, with the rest being support characters that assist you during battle. You get to fly around the semi-open world from West City to Kame House, and there are a lot of areas that open up by the end of the game, including a few off-world ones. The combat is diverse but ultimately a bit disappointing, as it easily becomes a button masher without much thought, and most battles can be won spamming the same button or attack. But there is more variety and depth that keeps things bearable. You can transform into Super Saiyan or different powered-up states after unlocking it during the story. Some characters like Goku have multiple powered-up states, such as Kaioken, Super Saiyan 1, 2, or 3, while others like Piccolo only have 1. While you'll do most of your fighting in the air, being knocked to the ground and fighting underwater can be a frantic mess, as the camera is obstructed by rocks or trees. My biggest gripe with the game is that the combat is too easy. As a result, I didn't feel the need to invest time in many of the game's features, such as cooking or the community boards, to improve my stats. As you progress through the game and complete side missions, you are awarded with character emblems used for community boards. Each community board gives you a specific benefit in and outside of battle. For example, the training community gives you increased experience and defense, whereas the cooking community gives you a longer duration and boost effects for eating meals. You can level up your character emblems by giving characters specific gifts, which contribute to the overall level of that specific community board. Using new supers, passive abilities, training, and even your party members can be overlooked, as you can breeze through enemies just punching everything to death. This, along with your ability to spam consumables if you happen to be low on health. Despite the easy difficulty, there are mechanics that make battles more interesting. There is a tension gauge that fills up as you attack and take damage. When it is full, you can hold down the charge button to activate the surge effect. This unleashes more power for a short period of time. You can still be pushed back or interrupted, and the effect makes it feel like the frame rate just took a huge dive, because you're flashing in and out. You can also have energy wave clashes if you act fast enough to fire a super yourself as you see the enemies telegraphing. You can also finish off your enemies in style if you use a super to launch them off into space. While these mechanics are in the tutorial, I discovered them randomly through battle. As you level up, you automatically gain more health, damage, and stats. There's also a skill tree that you can progress down using Z-orbs you collect. There are a variety of different colored Z-orbs scattered across the map, but after about an hour into the game, I didn't feel the need to go out of my way to collect them. Z-orbs are used to acquire new abilities and supers, which are mostly restricted by level or unlocked through training battles. I tended to stick to the same characters unless I needed to switch for a specific side quest, and as a result, most of my support characters were drastically lower in level and did virtually no damage to enemies during the second half of the game. It's fun to swap around your party just to use their different super attacks, such as Krillin's Destructo Disc, Vegeta's Gatling Gun, and Piccolo's Special Beam Cannon. Getting stuns off of enemies also give these attacks a little bit of extra flair.
Rock, paper, scissors! Rock! Scissors!
But after a while, you'll notice that you can apply the same tactics to all enemies, mainly spamming the attack button, and once in a while blocking to avoid knockback attacks or dodging a super. If you're a fan of the original Dragon Ball like I was, there are a lot of Easter eggs that you'll enjoy. Memories scattered around the world reveal story elements from when Goku was a kid, and if you're controlling Goku at the time, you get some additional dialogue.
Hey, this is Master Roshi's turtle shell! I wore this kind of thing with Krillin when we used to train together.
Many side quests involve characters from his past instead of just random NPCs.
Has to say, Launch! It's been a while. Someone forget about you?
There are even classic filler episodes from the show that are incorporated into missions, like Goku and Piccolo going to driving school, the Great Saiyaman, and even gag character Arelli are recreated for players to experience.
All right, here we go.
While all that sounds good and dandy, the game has a lot of missteps that make it hard for casual players to get into. First off, while the open world is a great concept, flying from one place to another becomes a pain after a while. If you've played Marvel's Spider-Man, traveling from one place to another was fun despite having to go back and forth around the map, because it felt like you were Spider-Man swinging from the rooftops. This game, on the other hand, the way you move up and down an elevation is awkward, and I never really got used to it. Also, when you're flying, you can speed up to cover distances faster, and sometimes instantly defeat enemies by colliding into them. This doesn't work all the time, and usually you'll be forced to stop and battle an enemy. Since main quests grant so much more experience, and you'll never be short of Z-orbs, there's real no purpose to fight these enemies. They just become more frustrating when I wanted to explore the map or collect certain items. Also, when collecting Dragon Balls, you'll spend a lot of time waiting for load screens, as there are about a dozen individual zones that require loading each time you go in or out. Another odd gameplay choice is how you fire energy blasts while exploring the map. You are forced to go into first-person mode to shoot, and this is only useful when shooting mineral deposits or killing dinosaurs. It feels like you're taking control of a vehicle and doesn't feel as immersive. While I mainly enjoyed the side quests, most involve fighting robots from the Red Ribbon Army. They all pretty much involve going to some location to kill an enemy or to find an item, but the dialogue surrounding the characters and situations was worth it. After you beat the game, more side quests are unlocked that have you facing off with previous bosses that you can wish back with the Dragon Balls. The game also has some portions that scale with your level and some parts that don't. For example, each zone's enemies scale with the character you're controlling, while other fights like villainous enemies and training battles do not. Villainous enemies are stronger foes that glow red and are marked on the map. There is a secret boss for killing all these villainous enemies that is new to the game, but isn't worth the time since there is no explanation or resolution with these characters by the end. Maybe it'll be further explored in the future DLC, but I mainly saw it through for the trophy. Speaking of DLC, recently it has been announced that the first DLC will feature Beerus in the Super Saiyan God form, basically the events of the Battle of the Gods movie or the first arc of Dragon Ball Super. Aside from the combat, which is about what I expected, the overall game felt too compact, leaving out a ton of character building, and a lot of scenes just felt too condensed. For example, they left out the "it's over 9,000" moment from the first arc. It's one of the first memes that should have definitely been included.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000! What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right!
There's also a huge difference in the quality between cutscenes that you'll see in the trailer and the regular cutscenes that make up a majority of the game. Side quests are even given less attention, not using voiceovers and relying on the tedious short sound bits.
Well, that explains it. That's why he was able to go Super Saiyan.
I think it's probably best we destroy the androids before they've been activated.
Hey!
Sir!
Hey!
Sir!
I won't let you!
Together with what feels like an absence of music and sound in general, some scenes just happen and there's no build-up or character investment. The death of many characters happens really suddenly, and no one really seems to care too much. This is especially true for the first 2 arcs of the game.
Yamcha!
What the? He blew himself up!
Ah, my eyes! No! Stop!
The anime had battles of full desperation, and you felt that the characters were underdogs going into these fights. But in the game, you can easily overpower all your enemies without much effort. It might also just be the art style, but the game just feels more PG, with characters not reflecting how much damage they've taken or have been beaten down. The last arc with Majin Buu was where the game started to pick up momentum, since you got to spend more time with the characters and finally care if someone dies. The game has some moments where the narrator, or simply black text, describes what has happened before cutting forward to the next scene. It does give it a feel like you're watching the anime, but at the same time just feels like they were skipping corners.
Krillin launched himself at Cell, but was effortlessly sidelined by Cell's newfound strength. Krillin having been...
Overall, the game has its highs and its lows. The length of the game is good and I can recommend it for fans of the show, but I wouldn't wait for when it goes on sale or once all the DLC has been released. If you're not a big fan of the show, I would skip this one and just rewatch Dragon Ball Super Broly again. If you guys play the game, let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching and check out my channel for more videos.